Scottie Bordelon, WholeHogSports.com, covers Arkansas. He has been a guy we've gone to many times during the season about Arkansas basketball, Eric Musselman and what they've done. And they open up the Sweet 16 with Gonzaga at just after 6 o'clock on CBS. Scottie joins us on SicEm 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Scottie, the SEC was good at the top. They had teams up and down as far as, teams that looked like they could make a run. Auburn, one of them, among others. Tennessee. We know Alabama was schizophrenic, and at times Arkansas maybe. Why are they the team remaining in the SEC?
That's a really good question. I think you could probably start at the top with Eric Musselman. And, I was on another show earlier today and just thinking about just kind of I don't know if mastermind is the right word in terms of game preparation and game planning and scheming and things like that. But I think it's kind of fitting as you look back at, think about his coaching experience at various levels of the game. And, after Arkansas beat New Mexico State to move to the Sweet 16, Eric, after the game, said that, he found some notes from his days coaching in the NBA, when he was game planning for Kobe Bryant, and they used, some of the things that they did in that game against Teddy Allen, and they pretty much took him out of that game. He had 12 points on 16 shots. After he goes for 37 in a game, that's about as good as you could do right there. And I think I've talked to you guys about this before. It's just the defense, just the commitment to that end, the toughness and the physicality. And, the defense, I think, has been really the hallmark of this team, just because they can be, not the easiest watch on offense sometimes.
You mentioned the defense, and this is a team that has, they beat an Auburn team earlier this year. They beat Tennessee. They've beaten tournament teams before. Their non-conference, I know, was nothing to write home about, Scottie, but how do you see them really matching up with a Gonzaga team that can score at will when they're hot?
Yeah, I think that's the big key. And, yesterday morning when Arkansas was doing their shoot around and their practice and Chase Center, Eric Musselman was, he was really hammering home the importance of Arkansas getting back in transition. Gonzaga averages, 15 fast break points a game, and if Gonzaga, gets to that number today, I don't think it'll be a close game whatsoever. You just can't give a team that is that high powered offensively just, buckets within, the first 5, 6, 7 seconds of the shot clock. That'll be a killer. Because Arkansas, they just can't afford to do that with some of the struggles they've had offensively. I think it's going to be really interesting to see who matches up with Chet Holmgren. I just don't think that Arkansas has got, maybe the ideal defensive matchup for him, but, across college basketball, who really is. But I think we'll probably see Stanley and Mude on him. That would be my guess. Stanley, throughout the regular season, I've tracked shots defended, and Stanley allowed his opponents to shoot 30% from the floor, which is an outrageous number, and then 24% from three when he was the nearest defender to that shot. And he's got, he's bouncy, he's a really good athlete. He's pretty long, and he's done a really good job since the early part of the season of, moving his feet defensively. He doesn't get beat off the dribble. I don't think you're really necessarily super worried about that with Holmgren. But I think if Chet does try to put the ball on the floor against Stanley, he's kind of stout enough, more well put together. He should be able to handle that. I think the biggest matchup really, though, is just Jalen Williams on Drew Timme. Timmy's just super crafty. Probably the best. I would say he's probably the best big at Arkansas's faced, just purely from an offensive standpoint. That's the matchup I'm watching. Those are the two big personalities on these teams, and it's gonna be really fun to just kind of watch them go head to head.
So, Scottie, I was reading around. It seems like Jalen Williams knows too, that's the matchup that everybody's looking at, right? He seems excited for that one.
Oh yeah, we asked him about that yesterday, and he probably mentioned that he's played some really talented bigs before, in the league. He's gone head to head with Walker Kessler, Oscar Tshiebwe. He's faced some guys that they just don't really have comps. But I don't know that there is a comp for Drew Timme either. You look at an All-America team released in the last month, and you bet your bottom dollar he's going to be on it. But Jalen's, he's on the All-SEC defensive team. He's a pretty good rim protector, I would say. He leads Arkansas in blocks, but he protects the rim in a different way. Just taking 50 charges this year, and he's pretty good. He's got pretty good hands. He can move his feet all right. I think he's just got to settle in at a certain point, and Drew Timme's going to hit shots much more often than not. So I mean, Jalen, I think he might have to weather a couple shots, but I think he's a guy that can give them right back too.
How much did last year's run that ended against Baylor? How much did that in any way kind of help them into the offseason to kind of get close, but know they had to get better?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I've heard there's 3 guys on this team that played against Baylor last year, and I think it fueled them in a way. And I think speaking for Jalen Williams and JD Note specifically, I think that game opened those guys' eyes to like what they have to improve on as players. And for the most part, Jalen's been terrific the second half of the season offensively. He wasn't a scoring threat last year when those teams played, and JD was. I mean, Arkansas just took a shot in the mouth from Baylor last year, I remember, but JD was like the one guy that Arkansas had that could go get his own shot. And that was one of those games where JD was sizzling hot. I mean, he's had a stretch here lately where he's like, I think 3 for his last 22 from 3. But I mean, that Baylor game, I think, was a perfect example of JD just being able to get hot at really opportune times. And I think he's just kind of focused on his conditioning and trying his best to stay out of foul trouble. He's had some issues with that too, but I think just the experience they gained from that, they're still carrying that into this game. And I think just the fact that you're going up against another number 1 seed, like you've kind of been in that position before, different environment, obviously a lot more fans in the building. But I don't think this is a game that any of those guys that played against Baylor last year, I wouldn't assume that they're going into this one fearful at all.
You got jet lag?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I'm still not used to the time difference. That's been a killer.
Yeah, well, I know you've gotten a little bit of sleep, and now you got a game and then the post and all that, and maybe there for more than just tonight and more than just one day or two. Have fun, Scottie. Appreciate your time throughout the year, and maybe, depending on what happens this weekend, we'll be in touch again next week.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you. That's Scottie Bordelon, WholeHogSports.com, covers Arkansas as they start it all tonight, the Sweet 16. It's Arkansas Gonzaga, 6:09 on CBS. When we come back,